human species has relied on energy resources for millennia. Since ancient times, we have used fossil fuels as an energy source. Our fossil fuel usage used to be reasonable compared to our modern use, but since the Industrial Revolution, our use of fossil fuels has skyrocketed, hurting our climate in the process. Fossil fuels used to be the only option for energy, but now we have renewable sources of energy, such as wind and solar power. We can make the switch to these renewable sources, but government policies, a lack of incentives, and simply because fossil fuels are more convenient, are stopping us. Another way we have caused climate change is deforestation. Trees are the lungs of our Earth. They absorb pollutant gases, filter them out, and then release clean air back into our atmosphere. We need trees in order to survive on our planet, and we aren't growing them back as fast as we're cutting them down. The list of human causes of climate change goes on, but these are just the most apparent causes. So, what are the effects of human activity on the climate? Well, one would be the atmospheric rise in carbon dioxide levels. Over the past 150 years, atmospheric carbon dioxide levels have risen from 280 parts per million to 414 parts per million. What exactly does this mean? Well, without enough plants to absorb carbon dioxide, it's staying in our atmosphere, getting trapped in by the ozone layer, therefore increasing global temperatures. With the increase in burning fossil fuels during that time, we are continuing to produce carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, worsening the levels. Carbon dioxide is just one of the many greenhouse gases produced by human activity. Greenhouse gas emission levels are rising, and in the process, breaking down the ozone layer, exposing our atmosphere to more radiation and heat from the sun. The greenhouse gases absorb this heat and radiate it down to Earth's surface. Without the greenhouse effect, temperatures on Earth would be below freezing. The greenhouse effect is a very natural process, but with the increase in global emissions, the greenhouse effect has now become bad for our planet. First, I'll start with the obvious. The ice caps are melting in Greenland, Antarctica, and other places. Animal species common in those regions, such as polar bears, walruses, Arctic foxes, and snowy owls, are losing their homes. They have to migrate somewhere else in order to survive, which can result in conflict between them and other animal species and even humans. Some obvious changes in plant and animal species are: birds are being confused by the increase in heat and therefore laying their eggs earlier. Plants are blooming earlier, and mammals are leaving their hibernation sooner. Animal distribution is also being affected as well. Since these species aren't used to the hotter temperatures, they are responding by migrating closer to the poles. Some of these migrating species are becoming invasive in their new homes, as many of them are finding their environments more suitable year-round. For some animals, migrating just isn't enough to survive. Sea turtle species who relied on the beaches to lay their eggs now can't use these beaches anymore. Since as sea levels rise, beach sizes decrease. Monk seals use these beaches to raise their young, but with less beach land to go to, they can't do that as reliably. As climateandweather.net says, climate change could cause a quarter of land animals, bird life, and plants to become extinct. As of now, no species has become extinct solely because of climate change. But if we don't fix our environment, many of our endangered species will be extinct in the near future. Okay, I'm with my 6-year-old sister. What's your name?
Happy.
And why should adults care about climate change?
So, when I'm older, we won't have to deal with it now.
Yeah, so we don't have to deal with it when she's older. We need to deal with it now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, and what can we do to fix climate change?
You have to use better resources.
Yeah, like wind and solar power? Yeah. Okay, so I'm here with a tiny puppy. What's your name? Okay. And Noodle. So why should we care about climate change? answer. Good answer. And how does it affect you? Very smart. Thank you, Noodle. For the next person I interviewed my dad, who's a meteorologist. But he's out of town right now, so he answered his questions over text. The first question I asked him is, do you think climate change is real? Why or why not? He responded with, yes, climate change is real. The reason it is real is we have scientific proof that the Earth is warming. Yeah, everyone says the Earth goes through warming and cooling cycles, and science has proven that over time. However, it has been shown that since the industrial age, that the Earth is warming faster than any time in past history. The second question I asked him is, give me an example of how humans contribute to climate change. He responded with, this may be due to increase in carbon gases released once we developed new technologies and created mass production techniques. We need to reduce our carbon emissions. Stop using fossil fuels, but use renewable energy, such as wind or solar energy, instead. This mainly applies to larger companies. You, as a consumer, can influence their choices by boycotting companies who aren't environmentally conscious. However, many of the good companies' products are expensive, so if you can't afford their products, buy used whenever you can, and purchase minimal products that are damaging to our environment. As for the companies themselves, if the government were to eliminate tax subsidies on fossil fuel production and instead give them to renewable energy production, companies would be encouraged to use renewable energy. We need to use electric-powered vehicles instead of gasoline-powered vehicles. This would help, but electric cars are expensive, and the average consumer can't afford them. There needs to be an incentive for the companies to make these cars more affordable. Until then, if you can't afford electric cars, try to carpool or utilize public transportation whenever possible. We need to consume less animal products, as maintaining and housing livestock produces large amounts of methane, since when livestock digest their food, they release methane from their gut. We need to cut down less trees. Trees are the lungs of the earth. They absorb gases in the air and filter them out. Reduce the amount of products you use and the amount of waste you produce. I'm not advocating for a zero-waste lifestyle, but try to use reusable containers, don't shop fast fashion, or just don't buy new clothes if you have clothes that fit and would work for what you need them for. If you need to buy something, don't buy new, buy used. Factories produce large amounts of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere. They also pollute the water by pouring waste into it. There are plenty of used products that people don't need anymore in thrift stores, and there is no need to buy everything brand new. A rise in global temperatures causes melting ice caps, which causes a rise in ocean levels. If we keep going in the rate that we're going, and all the ice melts, ocean levels will rise by 65.8 meters, or 216 feet. For reference, that would mean that coastal cities such as Los Angeles will be underwater. Coral bleaching. As temperatures in our oceans rise, coral reefs will die as they can't handle the heat, and they will turn white. Ocean species who rely on the coral to survive will die as well. The Arctic will eventually be ice-free, and any species who have lived in its cold temperatures could go extinct. There will be more frequent heat waves and hotter summers. Thought you couldn't handle our current summers? Try again. Plant and animal species will lose their habitats. As temperatures increase, species will find their current habitats uninhabitable and will either die out or migrate somewhere colder. Species who migrate could become invasive species, which can hurt local wildlife by taking their food and homes and by preying on other local species.